Hello and welcome to another video from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. Today I'm joined by Neil to look at the latest developments from this week's press conferences. Neil, how are you?
All right, yeah, bit frazzled after all the press conferences today. There's a lot to wade through, so let's crack on with it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And one of the things, because all the last couple of weeks during the international break, it's just been a sea of flags, mainly
Yeah,
yellow flags, internationalitis striking. So we've got lots and lots to get through to find out who's fit and who's not. So let's start off by looking at Wolves, and in particular a player who's very well owned, very popular. And if you don't own him, you should do, or not. But let's find out. Is he had a facial injury? Is he going to be fit and raring to go for their great home game against Huddersfield?
it sounds very much like he is.
Oh,
This
good.
is this is a tweet that Wolves have put out in the last half an hour, I believe. So we haven't seen the press conference ourselves, the video of it, but it sounds pretty unequivocal. The local media are reporting that as well. The Express and Star. It sounds like he's recovered. I think most people were fairly optimistic given the nature of it. I think it was a facial injury. We were talking about cheekbone injury, but he sounds like he's definitely in contention to play, and we'll obviously ratify that later on once we've seen the press conference in full. But I'd be very optimistic at this point if you're a Doherty owner.
Great, that's great. Well, I am a Doherty owner, and yes, I am feeling very optimistic. Looking forward to fielding him. Some people are even talking about captaining him. Maybe not go that far.
Yeah, I think we even raised that subject ourselves on Tuesday, so perhaps we're to blame
That's
for that. But
well, that'll be our fault then.
yeah,
But if it goes right, then obviously thank us. Anything else going on Wolves now? Johnny, we know Johnny's going to be out. Have we had any update about how long that's going to be for?
yeah. The Spanish FA declared him absent for 5 to 6 weeks, and that's been ratified this morning by Wolves themselves. It's going to be a 6 week layoff, so that would take him right till the end of 2018. So you've got Ruben Vinagre. Apologies for the pronunciation. He looks like he'll deputise on the left flank. And you think, well, 6 weeks isn't that long a time, but over Christmas, that's a big chunk of the season. I think that's probably about a quarter of the season, around about 8 games that he'll miss. So he's an even more cut price option as a wing back. We haven't seen him much in action this season, so it remains to be seen how effective he is from a fantasy perspective. But I've heard talk that he's a more attacking Johnny, which you can
Really?
imagine such. Yeah, so
I
the
can't
name I'll be
believe there's
wondering.
such a thing as possible. Okay. Okay, well, yeah, watch that space then for that. Although, there's plenty of other options in the Wolves
There are,
defence.
yeah, yeah.
But no, it's always good to have some more options there. And now another player, Sigurdsson, who's one of a number of flags actually for Everton. But Richarlison even had one, but that was hauled away because did not only played but scored for Brazil
Yeah.
during the international break. So what's happening on the Everton camp?
This sounds positive as well. Again, this is frustrating because Everton's press conference is one of the few you can actually watch live on YouTube and you can stream it. Unfortunately, there were some technical issues. So Marco Silva was doing his best Norman Collier impression with the microphone dropouts. But anyway, the club have tweeted that he's going to be okay. Him and Andre Gomez, who was a doubt as well. Now, Andre Gomez isn't a big FPL name, but he does help Everton play better. But Sigurdsson sounds like he's fine. And as you mentioned there, Richarlison's got a clean bill of health. He played over the international break. So looking positive on the Everton midfield front anyway.
Well, that's good as well, and that's also good news for those who have Richarlison and are thinking of captaining him. And I know many were hoping that Sigurdsson was available because obviously, if you've got the creativity such as Gylfi offers, then that, in theory, should mean you've got better chances of
Yeah.
scoring. Let's move over to Manchester United. That was another sea of flags, a whole bunch of flags going on there. What's the latest there, particularly with Martial, who was flagged and very popular, understandably, with I believe 6 goals in the last 5 games.
Yeah, Mourinho's gone one better than saying he's fit. He says he's going to play tomorrow, so that's you can't get much more certain than that. Fellaini seems to be back as well. Rashford and Pogba look like they're going to be fit. Lukaku's got a minor risk attached to him, but it looks positive from United front. And as you say, Martial's the one who people will be interested in. He's attracted a lot of new owners over the past 5 weeks, so it looks like he's going to be able to play.
Okay, well, this is good news. Suddenly, all the flags are dropping.
Yeah.
They're disappearing. Our teams are no longer yellow and red. Although at Liverpool, now a very popular player, Andrew Robertson, in defence, he hasn't been flagged, and the comments I was hearing might not lead to a flag, but they do worry
No.
me. So what's been happening? What's Klopp been saying about Robertson?
Yeah, it's not an injury doubt per se. He won't get a flag in FPL, but he has given a press conference this morning or early this afternoon, and he was talking about Lallana's his only injury worry. So your big three are okay, Mane, Salah, Firmino. But he did mention that Andrew Robertson's only trained on Friday for the first time since returning from international duty. And he did use the phrase after two very intensive games for Scotland.
Ooh.
Which, yeah, is something you don't really want to add to your worries if you've got that many yellow flags already. It remains to be seen whether he'll play or not. I mean, Watford away is no easy task, but they have got Paris Saint-Germain next week, and then I think it's the Merseyside derby after that. Is it the following week? So yeah, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if Moreno gets a run out. Now that's just my interpretation of those quotes. It might be that Robertson plays. All that worries for nothing, but I'd be prepared if you're a Robertson owner for if that was a sort of a coded warning that he might get a rest. But yeah, that's all we have on Robertson anyway from Klopp.
Yeah, now I have a particularly weak bench this week, so that does worry me as a Robertson owner. It's worth noting, top tip, if you've got very quick fingers, that the Liverpool lineup tends to come out 1 minute before the deadline. You have probably a window of around 30 seconds to look at it, make a decision, make that move, press the button, done. I know that Andy from the Scoutcast has done that before. I didn't do it last time that Robertson was out, but he took advantage of that. So if you're quick-fingered and you fancy making a move away from Robertson, there's a handy tip there. Let's move over to Leicester as well. Once again, another sea of flags there, particularly Maddison and Vardy as well. So what's the latest there from the Leicester camp?
Yeah, again, positive. Maguire's going to be out. His knee injury is a bit more serious than Maddison. But Maddison is back in training. Now, when the press conference held yesterday, this is why it's important to actually watch the press conferences. There was a flurry of tweets saying, "Oh, he's back, he's fit, he's available." And what Puel actually said was, he's back in the training session. We will see tomorrow, but I think he can be in the squad. So it sounds positive. It's probably a higher flag than 75%. You know, he probably is going to feature, but it's not a definite answer that he's going to start.
No, that sounds like yeah. I mean, he might not start at all, but it'd just be on the. So yeah, even worse, that could be a 10-minute cameo at the end.
Yeah, I mean, these managers do tend to play, err on the side of caution. He could easily line up. Puel did actually mention that Vardy's a minor doubt as well, with a groin injury, I think it was, but he has trained as well. So they're sort of in the same boat, Vardy and Maddison.
I mean, we saw in the last Leicester game against Burnley, without some of their creativity, with their kind of key players, and they do lose a bit of edge. And some might look at the game they had with Burnley and say they should have scored, but they didn't. They're coming up against quite a resilient Brighton home defence, who do concede a lot of chances at home, but they don't concede a lot of goals as well. So this could be good news, possibly for those with a Brighton defender.
Possibly.
Or indeed Glenn Murray. Let's move over to now Spurs. Yeah, again, another team. Lots and lots of flags, particularly Trippier as well. Very well owned, popular player. What's the latest from Spurs?
Yeah, Trippier, last time I looked, I think his ownership was topping 30%. Now he's out of this weekend's game, along with Davinson Sanchez. The good news from a Trippier owner perspective, or someone who's looking to get him in for game week 15 for the fixture swing, is that his injury isn't serious. He's able to return to training by the end of this month. So it's the North London derby next, beginning of December. So hopefully he'll be back for that. Yeah. Davinson Sanchez is going to be out till the end of the year. But they do have Jan Vertonghen back in training, and it will be assessed before tomorrow. They also have Danny Rose in the final stages of his recovery, but he won't feature. Now, while I'm on the subject of Spurs, Pochettino was talking about his three Argentinians who arrived back late from international duty. So one of them is one fight, one's Eric Lamela. So you'd expect someone like one fight, apologise again for the pronunciation, to play perhaps alongside Toby Alderweireld. But Lamela, I suppose you could see a bit of rotation there in central midfield. You might see perhaps Ericsson back in. Pochettino was talking about Ericsson's recovery and why they handled him so delicately before the international break, because they knew he would play twice for Denmark. So he might feature a bit more prominently now in the Premier League 11s.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's. I mean, that's some definite news as well.
Yep.
With Trippier, that owners of Trippier face a tricky one really, because you over Christmas you're going to want him.
Yeah.
Do you want to use two transfers, getting him in and out, maybe for missing a week or two? Yeah, I must admit, but for non-owners though, his price is probably going to come down, so I'll be keeping an eye on that because I do like Kieran Trippier. So let's have a look at some of the other fixtures taking place as well, and some of the other injury news. I understand there was some positive news for Goodmanson owners like myself at Burnley.
Yeah, positive, but not cast iron.
Oh no!
So again, I think the reason why, I mean, I can't vouch for this, but the reason why there's a flag still on an FPL is Dyche's quotes. So the sort of the clue is in what he says. If it's a definite he's going to play, then the flag will be removed. But I think because he said, and I've got the quote here, he's fine. I'm expecting him to be fine. Now, even if there's a tiny element of doubt, the word expecting him to be fine, then probably the flag will stay on. But it does sound quite positive. He's been in training this week. I've seen pictures of him in Defoe as well as back. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they play Monday night as well against Newcastle, that gives him an extra day of recovery. So I'd be very positive about him playing, I think.
Well, I'm a Goodmanson owner. I'm gonna stick. I think that's too good a fixture, and it would be very annoying to take him out, especially for a hit, and then him play and then get a couple of assists against. Let's be fair, not a very good Newcastle side, although they are getting a little better as well. Another team we haven't mentioned is City. So kind of news just in, really. What's developments there? Who's everyone fit or any injuries?
Yeah, I'm just in from watching this press conference actually. Bernardo Silva's out this weekend.
Oh,
now he's a slight out for next Tuesday as well, which makes me think he's going to be back for game week 14. But yeah, he's definitely going to be missing this weekend. De Bruyne is still out as well, so they could see Ilkay Gundogan in central midfield perhaps.
Okay.
The bigger news, I suppose, from a fan's perspective, is an update on Benjamin Mendy. Mm-hmm. When we didn't have a time frame for his recovery before today, not a definite one anyway. There's a lot of speculation in the media, but Pep has confirmed himself that he's going to be out for 10 to 12 weeks. Now that's a lot. Yeah, that is a long time. That takes him up to February. So. Okay. That's a big blow for Man City. And if you were in any doubt as an owner whether to get rid of him, I mean
he's got to go.
That's the death knell there, I think.
Yeah. I mean, interestingly as well, that raises the possibility that Sané might get a few more games because that kind of pace will be needed down that flank much more. As well, so that could be positive. Sané could be a really good differential actually for people to consider with that move, and I guess it would be Zinchenko and Delph would be covering Mendy, so an alternative probably. So probably not much there for us.
No, not from an attacking perspective. I mean, Zinchenko, we saw once this season, and he was sort of operating in that role, bombing forward as much as he can, but he's got limited quality compared to Mendy. And he's not somebody I'd be interested in. And as you say, they'll probably be sharing left back duties rather than one of them will be nailed. So I'm not going to go anywhere near there, I think. Yeah,
it sounds like Edison, Laporte probably remain the better options there in Mendy's absence. Any other news before we go?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Emery's press conference we haven't heard from yet, but Aubameyang and Lacazette are back in training this week, and it looks like they're going to be okay.
That's good.
And Josh King's back in contention for Bournemouth. Danny Ings is a big doubt for Southampton. Now, a lot of people will still own Ings as a budget forward, and they had Fulham this weekend, which is a good fixture on paper. But he's Southampton's main doubt, and he hadn't even taken to the training pitch as of yesterday. So
I'm a Danny Ings owner. I'm not anticipating him starting at all,
Nah,
or
I think bench.
even playing.
In fact, Hughes actually said bench duty is a possibility. And one other thing I've noted down is Isaac Success and Roberto Pereira were late back from international duty. I think arrived in the early hours of Thursday morning. So anybody who's thinking about blood and Success this weekend might want to bear that in mind, because they've got Troy Deeney, who's been rested for 2 weeks over the international break, as an alternative.
Yeah, he'll be fired up for that as well.
Yeah.
Just looking, just before we go, I just noted that good news for the injuries at Arsenal and Bournemouth. I'm predicting a big score there. I don't know who's going to win it, but I'm predicting goals both sides, because they're both quite frail at the back and both very attacking as well. So I think anyone with those players, Fraser, for example, Wilson, Aubameyang, Lacazette, I'd be advising playing them. That sounds very hopeful.
I'm keeping hold of Fraser for this game, especially. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Me too. But for now, Neil, thanks so much for that. There was a lot to rattle through there. So hopefully that's put some people's mind at rest and helped make their decisions. But for now, good luck with the game week and goodbye.
And to you, Joe. Goodbye.
Cheers.